Hi, I'm Paul from Kiln Frog, and today we're going to be looking at the Seattle Pottery Model 122 kiln. This is a 120 volt kiln, and it fires to cone 6. It's also available in 240 volt configuration, and it will fire to cone 10 in 240 volt. This is a great size ceramic kiln if you're getting started and just want to kind of experiment. It's also a great kiln to get for doing glaze testing, which is what I've been using it for the past few weeks. Some of the things that I really like about this kiln, the build quality is just amazing. Everything is super nice and tight and very clean. If you come in and look a little bit closer, you can see that the edges of the brick are beveled just a little bit, and that prevents the brick from getting chipped as easily. If you look inside the kiln, you can see that the elements are in element grooves, which is a really nice feature that helps keep the elements in place. Got a really nice smooth top on it. All the brick is cemented together, so it's not going to be falling apart on you on the lid. On the outside, we've got a peephole with a peephole plug, which is nice if you need to vent during the first portion of your bisque firing. Also, the controller. This is the Bartlett V6CF controller, and it's known as a 12 key controller because it has this numeric keypad on it. But one of the things that I like about this controller in particular is that it also has some quick buttons on it that you can use to make your life easier. You've got some bisque firing buttons here, some glaze firing buttons here, and then over here you have what's called a verifier program buttons. So if you want to write your own program, you can do that very easily. Let's say I want to do a slow glaze firing. So I'm just going to touch the slow glaze button, and that's slow glaze. I'm going to enter. Then all you need to do is enter the cone that you're going to fire to. It's already set up for cone 6, which is what I want. Then you can enter your hold time. I'm going to enter a 5-minute hold time, so that's 0.5. And then it's ready to go. All you have to do is press the start button. If I wanted to go in and do write my own program, then I'm going to do the verifier button. I'm going to use, let's try user 4, see if there's anything on there. So I'm going to enter that. Looks like it has something on there already. So I'm going to do 3 segments. And the first thing it's going to ask you for is the ramp speed. This tells the kiln how fast to get to a temperature, and that's in degrees per hour. So I'm going to go 400 degrees an hour. Then I'm going to enter the temperature that I want to get to. Let's say I'm going to go to 1,000 degrees. Enter that, and I'm going to hold there for 10 minutes. Then the second ramp, I'm going to go for 500 degrees an hour. And I'm going to take this up to, let's say I'm going to go to 2250. So I'm going to go to cone 6 or thereabouts. I'm going to hold, don't need to hold that long. I'm going to hold for about 5 minutes there. And then for the last one, I'm going to cool slowly at 200 degrees an hour down to about 1700 degrees because I want to do some slow cooling on this glaze that I'm testing out. And no hold time, and it's done. So now all I have to do is press the start button, and it's going to fire that program for me that I just entered. I mentioned the build quality of the kiln. I also mentioned the size of the kiln, how nice it is for doing glaze testing. I have a large kiln that is difficult to fill up on the limited time that I have, so having a kiln of this size is really nice if I want to just do a couple of pieces or if I want to test the glaze out and see how it's going. And again, this is a great size for a starter kiln because you don't want to over-invest in something and when you're just getting your feet wet. The kiln comes with the kiln and the stand, and then you can get the optional shelf furniture kit to go inside. It's available with the Bartlett V6CF 12 key controller, and you can also get a 3 key controller, which is a more basic controller if you want to do that. It's a little bit less expensive, so it's a little bit easier to get into that way. In the 120 volt configuration, you're going to need a 120 volt 20 amp dedicated circuit with a 5-20R receptacle. It has a 5-20P plug. And in 240 volt, it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be on a 240 volt 20 amp with a 6-20R receptacle. And so that's basically it. This is the Seattle Pottery Model 122 kiln. And like I said, it's just a really nice kiln as far as build quality goes. The results that you get are great. I actually did a little test firing with this glaze. It's a commercial glaze, but it's kind of difficult to get it to come out right because it's actually a cone 6 crystalline glaze. In some respects, it has crystal growth in it. And I know a lot of people that have tried to get good results from this glaze, and when they saw my pieces that I did, they were like, wow, how did you do that? And I said, well, you know, just gotta do it in a kiln that has a good temperature control on it. So again, just a really nice kiln to have around if you need something this small, if you need to do test firings, if you're just getting started, great way to go. So the Seattle Pottery Model 122 kiln. I'm Paul from Kiln Frog. Y'all have a great day.